A veil of fog hung low over the choppy waters of the Strait of Gibraltar on the morning of April 10, 1895. The HMS Atalanta, a sleek ironclad battleship and the pride of the Royal Navy, sliced through the waves with purposeful determination. Captain Bartholomew Sinclair, a stern man with salt and pepper hair and a reputation for rigid discipline, paced the bridge, his gaze fixed on the Spanish coastline looming through the mist. The strait, a narrow passage separating Europe from Africa, was a bustling maritime crossroads teeming with shipping traffic. It was also known for its strong currents and unpredictable undertows, hazards that demanded the utmost vigilance from any captain traversing its waters. Yet even the most experienced sailors of the region whispered tales of something far more sinister lurking within its depths. Rumors of a behemoth of the deep, a creature of staggering size. These shadowy legends spoke of a colossal shark, its dimensions dwarfing even the largest of great whites. Sightings were infrequent and shrouded in myth, but there was a chilling consistency in the descriptions. A vast, dark shape capable of effortlessly capsizing fishing vessels, a maw large enough to swallow a sailor whole. Commander Horace Whitmore stood at Sinclair's side, his ordinarily jovial face etched with a hint of unease as he scanned the murky water. Whitmore, the son of a merchant sea captain, had spent his entire life at sea, yet the strait always filled him with a prickling unease, a sense that the sea concealed more than met the eye. Below decks, Lieutenant Archie Sutton, a fresh-faced officer on his maiden voyage, supervised the routine gunnery drills with nervous energy. Their day began much like any other. Reveille had sounded before dawn, followed by the flurry of activity necessary to maintain a ship of Atalanta's size and complexity. The air buzzed with the clang of metal, shouted orders, and the rhythmic creaking of the massive vessel as it cut through the waves. Yet beneath the veneer of routine, a nagging tension thrummed beneath the surface. Whether seasoned veterans or fledgling recruits, the men sensed something out of the ordinary in the air, a silent acknowledgement of the whispered legends that haunted these waters. Suddenly a tremor surged through the entire ship, a bone-jarring jolt that sent sailors sprawling across the deck. The Atalanta shuddered, its mighty engines lurching to a halt as an oppressive silence descended upon the vessel. On the bridge, Sinclair and Whitmore exchanged looks of alarm and disbelief. The impact had come from below, a colossal force delivered from the unseen depths. Reports flooded into the bridge. The engineers scrambled in the belly of the ship, desperately searching for damaged boilers or breached compartments. Damage control parties fanned out, their lanterns casting flickering shadows on the ship's steel skeleton. But there were no reports of flooding, no telltale hiss of steam escaping from ruptured pipes. As powerful as it had been, the impact seemed to have caused no structural damage. A wave of confusion rippled through the crew. A chilling realization struck Sinclair. If their sturdy battleship hadn't been breached, the force that had struck them must have been monstrous. Could the superstitious tales be true? Had they collided with the Leviathan of the Strait? Whitmore, pale but resolute, voiced the thought that echoed in the minds of every sailor on board. "Sir, if that thing struck us once, it might strike again." Sinclair issued grim orders. Every available man was to be on deck, eyes peeled for any sign of disturbance in the water. Once a symbol of naval might, the Atalanta drifted helplessly as the crew waited with a suffocating mix of dread and anticipation. The fog, once an annoyance, now seemed like a protective cloak, obscuring them from the unseen terror below. Then it happened. Off the starboard bow, the murky water erupted, revealing a sight that would forever shatter the sailors' understanding of the natural world. A monstrous shark, a leviathan dwarfing even the most giant whales, breached the surface. Its skin was leathery, scarred with battles waged in the abyssal depths. A single dead eye, as wide as a dinner plate, stared with a chilling vacancy. Its maw, a gaping abyss lined with rows of serrated teeth, each the size of a man's arm, stretched impossibly wide. The men barely had time to register the sheer, monstrous scale of the creature before it lunged at the ship with terrifying speed. The Atalanta's bow heaved skyward as the creature slammed into its underside, sending shockwaves through the entire vessel. Sailors were flung through the air, their screams lost against the titanic clash. Lieutenant Sutton, caught off guard as the beast struck, was hurled overboard and vanished in the churning chaos. The creature thrashed its movements less like an animal and more like a force of nature unleashed. Desperate gunfire rang out, but bullets glanced harmlessly off its ancient hide. Suddenly, the behemoth vanished, leaving only churning water and a gaping wound in the Atalanta's hull. The crippled ship listed heavily, its lower deck awash with seawater. The pride of the Royal Navy was now at the mercy of this nightmare from the depths. Panic surged through the crew, but Sinclair's stern voice and years of discipline cut through the terror. Damage control parties battled valiantly, desperately working to salvage their wounded ship. The order to abandon ship echoed like a death knell. Sailors scrambled into lifeboats, casting fearful glances at the water, forever haunted by the impossible creature lurking below. The last man to leave, Sinclair performed a final heartbreaking sweep of his beloved ship. 2 agonizing days later, a Spanish fishing vessel stumbled upon the survivors. Their incoherent ramblings of a monstrous shark were met with skepticism, yet the fishermen noticed a newfound respect for the sea had crept into the sailors' eyes. Upon their return to England, Sinclair and Whitmore's official report was met with the usual disbelief. Yet their detailed descriptions, the unshakable terror witnessed by an entire crew, could not be ignored. While buried in naval records, this encounter ignited whispers among sailors and, crucially, a flicker of interest in marine biology. Could the unexplored depths truly harbor such a titan, a relic from a prehistoric age? The Strait of Gibraltar incident became a dark legend and a catalyst proof that the oceans might hold far more extraordinary and terrifying secrets than humanity yet understood. Sapphire Bay lies in the sprawling, sun-drenched expanse of Australia's Gold Coast, renowned for its sparkling beaches and formidable waves. It's a location that whispers tales of adventure and the untamed spirit of the ocean. On this particular day, September 5, 2012, the bay was abuzz with anticipation for the annual Sapphire Ocean Challenge, a long-distance swimming event that attracted athletes from around the globe. Among the participants were Ella Harrison, a seasoned open-water swimmer with the heart of a lioness, and her devoted coach, James "Jim" Bennett, a former champion swimmer himself. With her striking determination, Ella had been training for months, carving through the waters of Sapphire Bay with grace and power, her sights set on completing the challenge and emerging victorious. While a paradise for surfers and swimmers, Sapphire Bay was known for its diverse marine inhabitants, including the majestic yet formidable sharks patrolling the deeper waters. These creatures, apex predators of their realm, were respected and feared. The locals had coexisted with these sea giants for generations, understanding the delicate balance between admiration and caution. The morning of the event, the air was excited and nervous. Standing at the shoreline, Ella gazed into the horizon, her mind a mix of focus and silent prayers. Ever the supportive mentor, Jim offered words of encouragement, reminding her of the strength and resilience within her. The race began with the sound of a horn slicing through the morning calm. Swimmers plunged into the cool embrace of the ocean, their bodies rhythmically moving through the waves, a beautiful display of human endurance and the quest for triumph. With her powerful strokes, Ella quickly found her rhythm, her body in perfect harmony with the sea. As the swimmers ventured further from shore, the crystalline blue of the shallows gave way to the deeper, darker blues of the open ocean. Here, in the vastness of the waters, the reality of their challenge truly set in. Ella, undeterred, pressed on, her eyes fixed on the distant buoy that marked the halfway point. But nature had its script, one that no human could predict or control. Without warning, the serene scene was shattered by a sudden, terrifying encounter. A shark, drawn by the commotion in its domain, launched an attack, its sights set on Ella. The predator's approach was swift and silent, a stark reminder of the ocean's hidden dangers. The first sign of trouble was a sharp, excruciating pain in Ella's hand. In a display of raw power, the shark had latched onto her, its teeth quickly cutting through the water and skin. Panic ensued as Ella fought to free herself from the shark's grip, her strokes now fueled by sheer survival instinct. Seeing the horror from the support boat, Jim felt a wave of helplessness wash over him. The race had turned from a test of endurance to a desperate fight for life. Around them, the water turned turbulent, a chaotic blend of thrashing and shouting as the other swimmers and support crew raced to Ella's aid. The shark, perhaps startled by the sudden flurry of activity, released its grip, disappearing into the depths from whence it came. The aftermath of the attack was a blur of motion and emotion. Ella was quickly pulled from the water, her hand grievously injured, the dream of victory now the furthest thing from her mind. The race ended abruptly as safety boats converged and the air was filled with sirens and urgent voices. The beach, once a starting point of dreams and aspirations, had become the scene of a stark reminder of the ocean's unpredictability and the inherent risks of venturing into the domain of nature's most adept predators. Ella Harrison, once a contender in the Sapphire Ocean Challenge, now lies on the sand, surrounded by paramedics, her coach Jim Bennett by her side. She clutches her uninjured hand, offering words of comfort amidst the chaos. The paramedics worked swiftly, assessing Ella's injuries with professional calmness that belied the gravity of the situation. The shark's attack had left a deep laceration on her hand, a physical testament to the ordeal she had just endured. The crowd gathered was a mix of fellow athletes, spectators, and media, all united in a shared sense of shock and concern for the fallen swimmer. Transported to the hospital, Ella's journey from the emergency room to the recovery ward was a blur. Doctors and nurses flitted in and out, their voices a soft murmur against the backdrop of beeping monitors and the sterile scent of antiseptics. The initial prognosis was hopeful. The damage, while severe, was not life-threatening, and with surgery and rehabilitation, Ella would regain the use of her hand. The shark attack news spread like wildfire, catapulting Sapphire Bay and its ocean challenge into the global spotlight. The incident sparked a heated debate on human interaction with wildlife, the ethics of such sporting events, and the measures in place to ensure the safety of participants. Back in the hospital, as Ella regained consciousness, the weight of her ordeal began to sink in. The dreams of triumph in the Sapphire Ocean Challenge, of proving her mettle against the forces of nature, had been dashed most brutally. Jim's constant presence by her bedside was a source of comfort. Together they spoke of the future, not just of recovery and rehabilitation, but of advocacy for safer interactions between humans and the marine world. The road ahead would be challenging, but she was ready to face it head-on, her spirit unbroken, her resolve more vital than ever. Sapphire Bay and its ocean challenge would always be different after the attack. But for Ella Harrison, this was not the end of her story with the ocean. It was a new beginning, a chance to forge a new path, one stroke at a time. In the azure depths off the coast of Isla Guadalupe, Mexico, marine biologist Dr. Simon Torres embarked on what was to become a defining moment of his career. The year was 2009, and the world had just begun to embrace a new era of environmental conservation, with endangered species at the forefront of global discussions. Dr. Torres, a renowned shark conservationist, had dedicated his life to the study and preservation of these misunderstood creatures, particularly focusing on the great white shark. Isla Guadalupe, a remote volcanic island, had become a sanctuary for marine life, offering unparalleled clarity for researchers and divers alike. It was here, amidst the serene yet mysterious underwater world, that Simon found his purpose. Armed with decades of experience and an unwavering passion, he sought to unravel the complexities of shark behavior and advocate for their protection against the ever-looming threat of extinction. On a crisp morning, as the sun casts golden hues over the Pacific, Simon and his team prepared for a routine expedition. Their mission was to tag sharks with tracking devices, contributing to a larger study aimed at understanding migration patterns and habitat use. The air buzzed with anticipation as they boarded their vessel, the Ocean Guardian, equipped with state-of-the-art technology and a crew of seasoned experts. As they reached their designated research area, the team deployed an underwater drone to scout for sharks caught in illegal fishing nets, a common yet heart-wrenching sight. It wasn't long before the drone transmitted images of a magnificent great white entangled in a deathly embrace with a poacher's net. Simon's heart sank. The irony of the situation was not lost on him. These nets not only decimated fish populations but also endangered the very predators they sought to conserve. Without hesitation, Simon donned his diving gear, his resolve as clear as the waters he was about to enter. The team watched in silent solidarity as he descended into the blue abyss, a lone figure against the vastness of the ocean. As he approached the struggling shark, Simon felt a mix of adrenaline and profound respect. Here was a creature so powerful yet so vulnerable at the mercy of human recklessness. Carefully, he began to cut away the net, aware of the shark's immense power and the risks involved. The shark, sensing Simon's presence, thrashed in panic, its survival instincts in overdrive. In a heart-stopping moment, the shark's tail whipped around, catching Simon off guard. He felt a sharp pain in his left hand, a stark reminder of the wild unpredictability of nature. As Simon was pulled to the surface, the reality of his situation set in. He had been bitten by the very creature he sought to save. The irony was as sharp as the shark's teeth that had pierced his skin. Yet, even as he faced the daunting prospect of recovery, Simon's commitment to shark conservation never wavered. This incident only deepened his understanding of the complex relationship between humans and nature, highlighting the risks involved in wildlife conservation efforts. As Simon lay in the infirmary aboard the Ocean Guardian, the sharp sting in his hand was a constant reminder of the encounter. The crew, adept at handling such emergencies, had managed to stem the bleeding and ensure that no critical damage was done. Yet as he gazed out of the porthole into the expansive sea, Simon's thoughts were not of his pain but of the shark, its fate unknown. The next few weeks were a blur of hospitals, rehabilitation, and endless questions from the media, environmental groups, and the scientific community. The incident sparked a global conversation about the dangers faced by conservationists in the field. Simon, however, remained undeterred. His resolve to return to the water was stronger than ever, fueled by a profound sense of responsibility towards the creatures he had sworn to protect. Simon's recovery was painstakingly slow, marked by physical therapy sessions that tested his limits and moments of doubt that clouded his spirit. Yet, every challenge was met with an unwavering determination, a testament to his commitment to the cause. His colleagues and the broader conservation community rallied around him, offering support and reaffirming the importance of his work. During this period of healing, Simon delved deeper into his research, analyzing data collected over the years and formulating new strategies to mitigate the threats facing sharks. He spearheaded initiatives to combat illegal fishing practices, working closely with local governments and international organizations to enforce stricter regulations and promote sustainable fishing methods. As Simon's strength returned, so did his resolve to venture back into the ocean. His first dive post-recovery was a moment of profound emotion, a mixture of apprehension and exhilaration. Descending into the blue, Simon felt a sense of homecoming, a reconnection with the world he had fought so hard to protect. The ocean, with its infinite mysteries and untold stories, welcomed him back with open arms. The incident not only left physical scars, but also deepened Simon's understanding of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. He became more vocal in his advocacy, using his experience as a powerful narrative to highlight the risks conservationists face and the urgent need for collective action to protect our planet's biodiversity. Simon's story resonated with people around the globe, inspiring a new generation of conservationists and fostering a deeper appreciation for the complexities of wildlife conservation. He became a symbol of resilience, a living example of how personal sacrifice can pave the way for greater environmental awareness and change. The whole story was a poignant reminder of the challenges and dangers involved in the fight to preserve the natural world. It underscored the irony of a conservationist harmed by the very creature he sought to save, highlighting the unpredictable nature of wildlife conservation and the inherent risks of intervening in the natural order. Yet beyond the physical dangers lay a deeper, more profound message: the unbreakable bond between humans and nature, and the lengths to which some are willing to go to protect it. Simon Torres, through his ordeal, had not only survived but had emerged as a beacon of hope, demonstrating that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit, fueled by passion and purpose, can overcome the greatest of challenges. As Simon once again donned his diving gear, preparing for another expedition into the depths, he carried with him not just the scars of his encounter, but a renewed sense of purpose. The ocean, vast and mysterious, held within it the key to our planet's survival. And Simon was more determined than ever to unlock its secrets and safeguard its future. In the end, the story of one man's fight for survival was a testament to the enduring spirit of those who dedicate their lives to protecting the Earth's most vulnerable inhabitants. It was a reminder that, in the quest to conserve our natural world, We must be prepared to face the unknown, confront the dangers, and persevere, for the sake of the planet and future generations. The sun rose over the azure waters of Emerald Cove, a picturesque yet challenging racing venue nestled on the coast of Florida, USA. It was September 23, 2005, a day that promised excitement and high adrenaline as the annual Emerald Jet Ski Grand Prix was about to commence. Competitors from across the nation had gathered, their spirits buoyed by the competition and the beauty of the Cove, known for its clear waters and vibrant marine life. Among them was Samantha "Sam" Jennings, synonymous with talent and determination in the jet ski racing community. At 24, Sam had already clinched several national titles. Her prowess on the water was unmatched, and her focus was unwavering. Today, she was not just another racer, she was the one to beat. While a paradise for racers and tourists alike, Emerald Cove was also home to a diverse ecosystem, including several species of sharks. Fishermen and divers often saw these majestic predators in the deeper channels, away from the bustling beaches and racing zones. The locals respected these creatures, understanding their role in the ocean's hierarchy as essential to maintaining ecological balance. Sam's day had begun with a mix of nerves and excitement. The air was charged with anticipation as she reviewed the race course with her coach, Mike Harris. A former racer himself, Mike had seen potential in Sam from her early days, guiding her with a steady hand and an unwavering belief in her abilities. As competitors lined up at the starting point, the buzz from the crowd filled the air, a vibrant mix of cheers and music. Sam, focused and poised, gave her jet ski one last check, a ritual that grounded her amidst the chaos. Her family, always her staunchest supporters, waved from the stands, their faces alight with pride. The race commenced with the roar of engines, slicing through the silence of the Cove as racers took off, their jet skis leaping over the waves. Sam, in her element, maneuvered with precision and grace, her eyes fixed on the path ahead. The course was challenging, a test of skill and endurance, weaving through natural obstacles and sharp turns that demanded absolute concentration. Halfway through the race, as Sam rounded a particularly tricky buoy, her jet ski hit an unexpected wave, throwing her off balance. In a heartbeat, the champion racer found herself in the water, the shock of the cold hitting her as she struggled to orient herself. Above the surface, the race continued, the other competitors unaware of Sam's plight. Mike, watching from a distance, felt a surge of worry. It was unlike Sam to falter, and as seconds ticked by with no sign of her resurfacing on her jet ski, his concern deepened. Sam fought to regain her composure in the water, her training kicking in as she looked for her jet ski, floating a few yards away. But as she swam towards it, a shadow beneath the water caught her eye, a presence so ominous that her heart skipped a beat. The shadow beneath the water grew more extensive, and Samantha "Sam" Jennings realized she wasn't alone. The realization hit her like a wave. She was in the domain of one of the ocean's most respected predators, a shark. Panic surged within her, but years of training and innate resilience pushed her toward survival rather than surrender. In the crucial seconds that followed, the shark made its move, a blur of motion that sent adrenaline coursing through Sam's veins. She felt the pressure around her leg, an unbearable pain that threatened to pull her under. Instinctively, she fought, thrashing in the water, her mind racing for a way out of this nightmare. Above the surface, the race had come to an abrupt halt. Mike Harris had sounded the alarm, and rescue teams were already speeding towards the site. The crowd, moments ago alive with excitement, now held its breath in collective apprehension. Sam's world narrowed down to the struggle for survival. She remembered reading about shark encounters and how a show of resistance could sometimes deter the predator. With every ounce of strength she had, she fought, her kicks becoming more frantic, her will to survive burning brighter than the pain. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the attack ceased. The shark, perhaps dissuaded by Sam's resilience, disappeared into the depths of the Cove. Sam, buoyed by a mix of relief and shock, was quickly pulled from the water by the rescue team, her leg badly injured but her spirit unbroken. The aftermath of the attack was a whirlwind of activity. Sam was rushed to the hospital, her family and Mike by her side, offering words of comfort and strength. The jet ski racing community rallied around her, their rivalry forgotten in the face of her ordeal. News of the attack spread. reigniting discussions about safety in waters known for shark activity. Recovery was a long road for Sam. The physical wounds healed with time, but the psychological scars remained. Yet in the face of adversity, her spirit never wavered. With Mike's unwavering support and her family's love, she found the courage to face her fears, speak about her experience, and advocate for shark conservation. Sam's story became one of resilience, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to overcome even the most terrifying encounters. She returned to the water not as a racer, but as a champion for the coexistence of humans and marine life. Her experience gave her a unique perspective she shared with young athletes and conservationists. The annual Emerald Jet Ski Grand Prix continued with enhanced safety measures and a renewed emphasis on respecting the ocean's inhabitants. Sam often attended not as a competitor, but as a reminder of the delicate balance between pursuing one's passions and respecting nature's power. In the summer of 2015, the coastal town of Seaview, known for its pristine beaches and a history rich with maritime folklore, became the backdrop for an event that would highlight the bravery of an unlikely hero. The town, nestled on the east coast of the United States, had always been a haven for tourists seeking the solace of the ocean. But beneath the surface of its inviting waters lurked dangers that the locals whispered about. Tales of creatures from the deep that occasionally brushed shoulders with humanity. The day began on a day like any other, under the blazing sun, as families, couples, and solo adventurers laid their towels on the golden sands of Seaview Beach. Among them was a teenage lifeguard, Alex Bennett, standing watch from his perch. It was his first summer on the job, and his nerves were as palpable as the humid air. Despite his training, Alex harbored a deep-seated fear of the ocean's unseen depths, a fear he kept hidden behind a facade of confidence. Offshore, a drone buzzed like a distant bee, operated by a local tech enthusiast and part-time volunteer for the beach's safety, Jamie Clark. Jamie's fascination with technology, especially drones, had made her an invaluable asset to the Lifeguard team, providing an eye in the sky to spot potential dangers lurking beneath the waves. As the day wore on, laughter and the sound of waves filled the air until a chilling silence descended. The drone's camera had caught a dark shape moving towards the swimming area, a shape that every beachgoer in Seaview had learned to fear: a shark. Panic ensued as screams echoed off the water, and Alex's heart raced. His training kicked in, but so did his fear. Amidst the fleeing swimmers, one figure struggled to make it back to shore, a young man caught in the path of the oncoming predator. The situation was Alex's worst nightmare come to life, yet he knew he couldn't let his fear paralyze him. With the crowd's eyes upon him, Alex grabbed his rescue board and plunged into the tumultuous waters, his heart pounding in his chest. Meanwhile, Jamie maneuvered the drone, dipping it low over the water, attempting to distract the shark with its shadow and the buzzing noise, a technique they had only discussed in theory. The shark, intrigued by the drone, veered off its path momentarily, giving Alex the precious seconds he needed. Reaching the victim, Michael Johnson, a tourist from another town, Alex pulled him onto the rescue board. Michael was in shock, his body marked by superficial wounds, a lucky escape. The return to shore was tense, every stroke shadowed by the fear of a second attack. But the shark had lost interest, the drone's interference proving effective. Upon reaching the beach, the crowd erupted into cheers, their applause not just for Alex's bravery but for the teamwork that had averted a tragedy. In the aftermath, as Michael was tended to by paramedics, the reality of what had occurred began to sink in. Alex, still shaking from the adrenaline and his confrontation with his fears, found solace in Jamie's supportive presence. They had saved a life together, an experience that bonded them in a way few others could understand. The event became a turning point for Alex, who no longer viewed the ocean solely as a realm of his fears, but as a challenge to be respected and faced. For Jamie, it was a validation of her belief in the power of technology to make a difference in real-world situations. Seaview Beach implemented new safety measures inspired by the day's events, including regular drone patrols. Alex and Jamie were celebrated as heroes, their story a testament to the courage of the human spirit and the strength found in unity. The experience had a profound impact on their lives, teaching them the value of confronting fears, the importance of teamwork, and the potential of technology to safeguard humanity against nature's unpredictability. As the summer progressed, the incident at Seaview Beach became a catalyst for change, not only for Alex Bennett and Jamie Clark, but for the entire town. The local council, spurred by the event, invested in advanced shark surveillance technology, including more drones equipped with the latest in shark detection capabilities. The beach now boasted a state-of-the-art safety system, a testament to the town's resilience and commitment to the safety of its residents and visitors. Alex, once a reluctant hero, found himself thrust into the spotlight, his actions on that fateful day celebrated by the community. He became a symbol of bravery, a role model for the younger lifeguards, and an ambassador for beach safety. His fear of the ocean had not vanished, but his relationship with it had transformed. He now approached his duties with a newfound respect for the sea and its inhabitants. Jamie, on the other hand, experienced a surge of interest in her work with drones. Her innovative use of technology during the rescue caught the attention of tech companies and marine conservation organizations. Invitations to speak at conferences and participate in research projects flooded in, recognizing her contribution to the field of marine safety. The partnership between Jamie and the Lifeguard team became a model for other coastal towns, showcasing the potential of technology to complement traditional lifeguarding methods. The bond between Alex and Jamie deepened their shared experience, a foundation for a lasting friendship. They worked together on community outreach programs, educating the public on beach safety, shark awareness, and the importance of respecting wildlife. Their story inspired others, proving that courage could emerge in the most unlikely circumstances and that innovation could lead to safer communities. As the season turned, Seaview Beach saw a record number of visitors, drawn not only by its natural beauty, but also by its reputation as one of the safest beaches on the East Coast. The shark attack, while a harrowing memory, had given rise to a period of growth and reflection. The community had emerged stronger, more united, and better prepared to face the challenges of the future. The impact of that day extended beyond the confines of Seaview. News outlets and social media platforms spread the tale of the teenage lifeguard and the drone operator who saved a swimmer from a shark attack. Their story resonated with people around the world, serving as a reminder of the unexpected heroes among us, the importance of facing our fears, and the remarkable achievements that can result from collaboration between humans and technology. Years later, Alex would look back on that summer as the moment their lives changed direction. Alex pursued a career in marine biology, driven by a desire to understand the creatures of the deep and to contribute to the coexistence of humans and marine life. The unlikely hero, once a teenage lifeguard weighed down by his fears, had become a beacon of hope, a reminder that within each of us lies the potential to rise above our limitations and make a difference in the world. And so, the story of the unlikely hero of Seaview Beach became a legend, a narrative passed down through generations, inspiring countless others to believe in the power of bravery, teamwork, and the advancement of technology in the face of nature's unpredictability. It was a testament to the fact that heroes come in all forms, sometimes from the places we least expect, united by their willingness to act in the moment of need. On the serene shores of Coral Cove, a hidden gem nestled on the eastern coast of Australia, the early morning sun casts a golden glow over the tranquil waters. It was August 20th, 2012, a day that Emma Thornton, a seasoned kayaker with a passion for the unspoiled beauty of nature, had set aside for an adventure that was meant to be a peaceful exploration of the coastal mangrove forests. Coral Cove was renowned for its dense mangrove forests, a vital ecosystem supporting diverse marine life. The area was a haven for environmentalists and nature enthusiasts alike, drawn by the allure of its pristine condition and the promise of witnessing nature in its most unadulterated form. Emma, a 32-year-old environmental scientist from Brisbane, had always been fascinated by the symbiotic relationships within these mangroves. For the day, she planned to document the various species of flora and fauna as part of her ongoing research on coastal ecosystems. She was equipped with her kayak, camera, and notebooks, ready for a day of solitude and discovery. The waters around Coral Cove were known to be home to various marine animals, including the majestic but often misunderstood sharks. Local conservation efforts focused on educating the public about the importance of sharks to the aquatic ecosystem, dispelling myths, and fostering a culture of respect and coexistence. As Emma paddled her kayak through the narrow channels carved by the mangroves, the forest sounds came alive. The chirping of birds and the gentle splash of water against her kayak were the only noises that disturbed the peaceful silence. She was in her element, wholly absorbed in the beauty of her surroundings, her heart full of joy and appreciation for the natural world. As the day progressed, Emma navigated the mangroves with ease, her experience evident in the confident strokes of her paddle. She made several stops along the way, captivated by the sight of colorful birds and the occasional fish jumping out of the water. Her camera clicked away, capturing moments she knew would be treasured memories of her solo journey. However, as the afternoon sun descended, casting long shadows over the water, Emma's peaceful exploration took an unexpected turn. A sudden bump against her kayak startled her, reminding her she was not alone in these waters. Initially dismissing it as a piece of drifting wood or perhaps a curious turtle, she continued, unaware of the danger that lurked beneath. The serenity of Coral Cove's mangrove channels was abruptly shattered when Emma felt a jolt more vital than before, this time unmistakably forceful, shaking her kayak with a violence that sent a ripple of fear through her heart. A shadow beneath the water, vast and swift, collided with her vessel, tipping it precariously. In a heart-stopping moment, her arm plunged into the cool water and she felt an excruciating pain as sharp as the fear gripping her. It was a shark, maybe mistaking the kayak's silhouette for prey due to its instinctual curiosity. With adrenaline surging through her veins, Emma fought to right her kayak, her thoughts a whirlwind of panic and determination. After its investigative bite, the shark seemed to lose interest, disappearing into the murky depths from which it came. But the damage was done. Emma's arm bore the terrifying mark of the encounter, a stark reminder of her vulnerability in the vast, untamed ocean. Bleeding and in pain, Emma's survival instincts kicked in. She managed to climb back onto her kayak, her training as an environmental scientist providing her with the knowledge that calm and quick thinking was her only way out. With one arm severely injured, she paddled with all her remaining strength towards the shore, each stroke a testament to her resolve to survive. The journey back was a blur of pain and perseverance. Emma's mind raced with thoughts of her loved ones, her passion for nature, and all the reasons she had to live. The once enchanting mangroves now seemed like silent witnesses to her struggle, the shadows of the trees stretching out as if to offer her solace and protection. Upon reaching the shore, Emma's cries for help were met by the swift response of nearby beachgoers and the park's rangers, who rushed to her aid. The community of Coral Cove, bound by their respect for the ocean and its creatures, came together to support one of their own in her moment of need. The following weeks were a testament to Emma's strength and the community's solidarity. Her recovery was slow but steady, supported by the expertise of medical professionals and the unwavering support of her family and friends. The shark's bite, while physically damaging, could not dampen Emma's spirit or her love for the marine world she had dedicated her life to protecting. Emma's story spread through Coral Cove and beyond, becoming a powerful narrative of human resilience and the complex relationship between humans and nature. Her return to the water was a poignant moment, not just for Emma but for the entire community. Armed with a deeper understanding and a reinforced respect for the ocean's inhabitants, she embarked on her kayak again, her gaze steady on the horizon. Emma Thornton's journey from a serene day in the mangroves to a life-changing encounter with a shark and back to the water she loves is a powerful reminder of the fragility of life, the strength of the human spirit, and the enduring bond between humanity and the natural world. Ultimately, her story is one of triumph, not tragedy, a narrative of overcoming fear, embracing understanding, and living to make a difference in the world. In the serene waters off the coast of Western Australia, the year was 2011. This part of the ocean was home to an extraordinary diversity of marine life, making it a perfect location for marine biologists and researchers. Among them was Dr. Alexander Hartman, a marine biologist renowned for his groundbreaking work on shark behavior. Dr. Hartman had earned the nickname the Shark Whisperer due to his controversial methods of closely interacting with these fearsome predators. His research vessel, the Sea Voyager, was anchored in a secluded bay known for its clear waters and abundant shark population. The setting was not just any ordinary research site. It was a place where Dr. Hartman was about to study a newly discovered shark species, the deep blue hunter, known for its unique color and elusive nature. Dr. Hartman was not alone in his quest. He was accompanied by a dedicated team, including his assistant, Maria Gonzalez, a skilled diver and marine biologist in her own right, and Jack Sullivan, the team's safety officer, responsible for ensuring all operations went smoothly and safely. The team was rounded out by a small crew who managed the vessel and assisted with the research. Their mission was to document and study the behavior of the deep blue hunter in its natural habitat. This task required not only expertise, but also a considerable amount of courage. The team was well aware of the risks involved, but trusted Dr. Hartman's experience and judgment. The day began like any other, with the team preparing for a dive. Dr. Hartman, ever the enthusiast, decided to get closer to the deep blue hunters than ever before, using a new technique he had developed to supposedly calm the sharks and encourage them to approach him. The new technique Dr. Alexander Hartman developed was called the harmonic resonance approach. This innovative method involved using a combination of sound frequencies and body language to create a calming environment for the sharks. Dr. Hartman theorized that certain sounds could mimic the natural frequencies found in the ocean, which could potentially have a soothing effect on marine life, including sharks. By incorporating these sounds with specific, non-threatening body movements, he believed he could communicate a sense of peace and curiosity, encouraging the sharks to approach him without aggression. As he slipped into the water, the rest of the team watched from the boat, equipped with cameras to document the encounter. At first, everything seemed to go according to plan. A group of deep blue hunters swam curiously around Dr. Hartman, who appeared to be in complete control, moving with a calmness that belied the danger of the situation. However, the mood quickly shifted. A particularly large shark, distinguishable by a scar across its dorsal fin, began to circle closer, its movements becoming more aggressive. Dr. Hartman attempted to use his calming technique, but it was clear that he had underestimated the shark's behavior. Without warning, the shark attacked, catching Dr. Hartman by surprise and inflicting a severe wound on his leg. The water around him turned red as he struggled to fend off the shark and make his way back to the surface. Maria and Jack sprang into action, diving into the water to rescue Dr. Hartman. It was a tense and dangerous operation, with the shark still nearby, but their quick response and teamwork allowed them to bring Dr. Hartman back to the boat safely. Once on board, the crew administered first aid, stemming the bleeding and stabilizing Dr. Hartman's condition until they could reach the mainland and get him to a hospital. The team was shaken, but their swift actions had undoubtedly saved their leader's life. In the aftermath of the attack, Dr. Hartman spent several months recovering. The incident had been a humbling experience, reminding him and his team of the power and unpredictability of nature. Dr. Hartman's brush with death did not deter him from his research, but it did change his approach. He became an advocate for respecting wildlife boundaries, using his experience to educate others about the dangers of underestimating wild animals, even for scientific purposes. The team continued their work, albeit with a newfound respect for the creatures they studied. They implemented stricter safety protocols and focused on non-invasive methods of research. The incident with the deep blue hunter became a critical lesson in their careers, a stark reminder of the importance of balance between scientific curiosity and the respect for nature's boundaries. The incident was a turning point for Dr. Hartman and his team. It served as a cautionary tale for the scientific community, highlighting the fine line between groundbreaking research and reckless endangerment. Their story is a testament to the unpredictable nature of the sea and its inhabitants, and a reminder that, in the vast blue depths, humans are not always the apex predators they believe themselves to be. In the serene waters of the Great Barrier Reef, Emily Harris and her brother, Michael Harris, embarked on a peaceful fishing trip under the golden Australian sun. The year was 2021, and the siblings had rented a modest boat for a day of tranquility and bonding. They had chosen a secluded spot known among locals for its rich marine life, but untold by any map, far from the bustling tourist trails and closer to nature's untouched beauty. Emily, a schoolteacher from Sydney with a passion for marine biology, was thrilled at the chance to combine her love for teaching and the sea. An amateur photographer, Michael, was equally excited to capture the stunning landscape and vibrant underwater world. The reef, with its myriad colors and bustling aquatic life, was the perfect backdrop for their adventure. As they settled into their spots, the gentle lap of waves against the hull and the distant calls of seabirds set a calm rhythm. Emily baited her line with practiced ease, casting it into the clear azure waters, while Michael adjusted his camera settings, eager to document their expedition. The morning passed with the siblings sharing stories and laughs, occasionally reeling in small catches, which they released after admiring the beauty of each fish. The sun climbed higher, painting the sky in brilliant hues of blue, and the water around them sparkled like a sea of diamonds. But as the day wore on, the tranquility of their outing was shattered by an unexpected visitor. A shadow loomed beneath the surface, growing more ominous as it approached their boat. Emily's line tensed suddenly, and she braced herself, thinking she had snagged a significant catch. However, the reality was far more startling. Without warning, a massive shark, its mottled gray skin and scars witnessing its battles, breached the water's surface. Its powerful body slammed onto the deck with a thunderous crash, its jaws snapping ferociously. The siblings froze in terror, the shark's dark eyes locking onto theirs, a primal fear gripping their hearts. Emily's mind raced. She knew they were in a precarious position. The boat, barely sturdy enough for their leisurely fishing, now rocked violently under the shark's weight. She glanced at Michael, his face pale, his camera forgotten at his side. Emily formulated a plan based on her knowledge of marine life and a sudden surge of adrenaline. She remembered reading about sharks' sensitivity to touch in certain areas and their reliance on the element of surprise. She shouted to Michael, instructing him to distract the shark with his camera flash while she searched for something to defend themselves with. The confined space of the boat became a battleground. Michael, recovering from his initial shock, began flashing his camera at the shark, its eyes recoiling with each burst of light. Armed with a sturdy fishing rod, Emily aimed for the shark's gills, knowing it was a vulnerable spot. Their struggle was intense, a dance of survival where every move could be their last. The shark thrashed violently, its tail smashing against the boat's sides, threatening to capsize them. Emily and Michael worked in tandem, their fear mixed with a fierce determination to protect each other. As the sun descended toward the horizon, casting long shadows over the water, the siblings found themselves in a precarious stalemate with the beast. With each passing moment, their situation grew more desperate. The shark's relentless energy contrasted with their waning strength. The struggle between Emily, Michael, and the shark intensified as the sun lowered, casting an orange glow over the water. The small boat's once peaceful deck was now chaotic, with fishing gear strewn about and the shark's powerful movements threatening to send them all into the water. Her resolve hardening, Emily knew they couldn't maintain this standoff much longer. Her mind raced for a solution, recalling every knowledge she had about sharks. She remembered a documentary she'd watched, detailing how some sharks, when flipped onto their backs, enter a state of tonic immobility, a temporary paralysis. It was a long shot, but it was their only chance. She shared her plan with Michael in hushed, urgent tones, aware that their window of opportunity was shrinking with the fading light. Michael nodded, understanding the risks but trusting his sister's judgment. They decided that Emily would continue to fend off the shark with the fishing rod, aiming to disorient it, while Michael would use a spare oar to leverage the shark, attempting to flip it over. Sensing their movements, the shark became more aggressive, its tail slamming against the boat with enough force to crack the wooden planks. Water began to seep in, adding another layer of danger to their dire situation. Emily and Michael exchanged a look, understanding the stakes had just risen. Their survival now depended not only on subduing the shark, but also on keeping the boat afloat. In desperation and courage, Emily jabbed the fishing rod towards the shark's gills again, causing it to reel back. Seizing the moment, Michael positioned the oar under the shark's massive body, pushing with all his might. The shark, caught off guard by the unexpected maneuver, flipped onto its back. For a brief moment it lay still, its underbelly exposed to the fading light, its eyes glazed over in tonic immobility. The siblings didn't waste a second. Michael quickly secured the oar to ensure the shark remained in place while Emily grabbed a bucket to start bailing out the water flooding their boat. Their actions were swift and synchronized, born of a lifetime of camaraderie and mutual understanding. As the last rays of the sun vanished below the horizon, the shark began to stir, its immobility wearing off. But by then, Emily and Michael had managed to stabilize the boat and were ready to escape. They carefully navigated around the still disoriented shark, using their remaining oars to propel the boat towards safety. The journey back to shore was tense, with both siblings keeping a vigilant watch over the water. The experience had changed them, the close encounter with the shark leaving a mark on their psyche. They spoke little, each lost in their thoughts, the gravity of their situation sinking in. As they finally reached the safety of the shore under the cover of night, they looked back at the water, the moon reflecting off its surface. The shark was nowhere to be seen, having disappeared into the depths of the Great Barrier Reef. The siblings shared a relieved embrace, thankful for their escape but forever altered by the ordeal. While terrifying, their harrowing experience brought them closer together, forging a stronger bond than ever. They returned to their lives, Emily to her teaching and Michael to his photography. But the memories of that day remained, a reminder of their survival and the incredible story they had lived to tell. In the pristine waters surrounding the Menta Islands, Indonesia, a group of friends embarked on a surfing adventure that promised the thrill of riding the unspoiled waves of this secluded paradise. Among them was Jake Thompson, a seasoned surfer with a relentless passion for the sea and its untamed beauty. The Menta Islands, known for their crystal-clear waters, lush tropical landscapes, and some of the world's most consistent waves, were the perfect backdrop for their expedition. The group, filled with excitement and anticipation, set up camp on one of the smaller islands, a spot renowned among surfers for its perfect breaks but far removed from the bustling tourist trails. With his sun-bleached hair and a deep tan, Jake was the first to paddle out into the water, his board cutting smoothly through the waves. His friends watched from the shore, cheering and laughter carrying over the sound of the crashing surf. For Jake, surfing was more than a sport. It was a communion with nature, a dance on the edge of the world. As the day progressed, the group took turns challenging the waves, their skills on full display against the stunning backdrop of the island. The sun hung high in a cloudless sky, its rays reflecting off the water, turning it into a shimmering expanse of blue and green. However, as the afternoon gave way to evening, the mood shifted. Intending to catch one last ride before the day ended, Jake paddled beyond the reef, where the waves broke with more power and intensity. His friends, busy packing up their gear, paid little attention, confident in Jake's abilities. But nature, in its beauty, holds a power that can turn instantly. As Jake waited for the perfect wave, a dark shape emerged from the depths, its movement swift and purposeful. A shark, drawn by the activity in the water, had ventured closer to the surf. The attack, when it came, was swift and brutal. Jake felt a sudden sharp pain in his leg, a force that pulled him under, away from the safety of his board. The shock of the cold water and the realization of what was happening sent a surge of adrenaline through his body. He fought to break free, his mind racing with thoughts of his friends, family, and the life he cherished. On the shore, his friends, now aware of the struggle in the water, sprang into action. Panic set in as they realized the gravity of the situation. Their friend and companion were caught in a life-threatening ordeal with no immediate help in sight. As the golden hues of the setting sun bathed the Menta Islands in a soft light, the serenity of the evening stood in stark contrast to the chaos unfolding in the water. Jake's friends, realizing the severity of his situation, scrambled to launch a rescue effort from the shore. Max, the quickest thinker among them, grabbed a couple of surfboards, urging the others to follow him into the water, forming an impromptu rescue team. The ocean, their playground just hours before, now seemed like an immense, unpredictable adversary. As they paddled out, the sight that greeted them intensified their fear. Jake, pale and weakened from the struggle, was clinging to his board, his leg bleeding profusely. Working together with a sense of urgency born out of sheer desperation, they stabilized Jake on one of the boards and began the painstaking journey back to shore. Every stroke through the water was laden with fear and the heavy realization of how close they were to losing their friend. Once ashore, the gravity of Jake's injury became fully apparent. The bite was deep, and the loss of blood was significant. The group felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness with no immediate medical facilities on the secluded island and the nearest help hours away. Sarah, who had some basic first aid training, sprang into the challenge of getting Jake the medical attention he needed, as best as she could, trying to stem the bleeding until they could get professional help. The challenge of getting Jake the medical attention he needed was daunting. The island's isolation, a feature that had made their surfing trip so appealing, now became their biggest hurdle. The group knew they had to act fast with no cell service, and the only satellite phone back at their main camp on a neighboring island. Determined not to let their friend down, Max and another friend, Liam, decided to make the risky journey back to the main camp under cover of darkness, paddling vigorously across the open water with the hope of bringing back the satellite phone and calling for emergency assistance. Back at the beach, under the starlit sky, Sarah and the others stayed by Jake's side, offering words of comfort and doing their best to keep him awake and alert. The camaraderie and bond they shared as friends were now a lifeline, each drawing strength from the other in the face of adversity. Meanwhile, Max and Liam's paddle back to the main camp was a race against time, fueled by adrenaline and the urgent need to save their friend. Upon reaching the camp, they frantically searched for the satellite phone, their hands shaking as they dialed the emergency services, conveying the severity of the situation in hurried, anxious tones. The wait for help was agonizing. The group huddled together, keeping a vigilant watch over Jake, whose condition was stabilizing but still critical. The sound of a distant helicopter, the first sign of the rescue team's approach, was the sweetest sound they had ever heard. Relief washed over them in waves as the helicopter landed on the beach, its blades whipping the air, and trained medical personnel rushed to Jake's side. The rescue operation was swift and efficient. Jake was stabilized further and then airlifted to the nearest hospital, receiving the medical attention he desperately needed. The ordeal had brought the group closer together, their bond strengthened by the harrowing experience they had shared. In the following weeks, Jake's recovery became a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the strength of friendship. The surfing trip to the Menta Islands, envisioned as an adventure in paradise, had turned into a life-altering experience for each of them, a reminder of the unpredictability of nature and the preciousness of life. As Jake healed, the group made a pact to return to the waves, but with a newfound respect for the ocean and its inhabitants. Their story, a dramatic tale of survival, adventure, and the unbreakable bond of friendship, became a source of inspiration, a reminder that hope and the human spirit can prevail even in dire circumstances. The musty odor of old paper filled the air as Arthur Blackwood meticulously sorted through a stack of artifacts recently acquired by the Port Royal Maritime Museum. A small, unassuming town on the jagged coastline of southern Jamaica, Port Royal boasted a rich maritime history, and Arthur, the newly appointed curator, was determined to uncover its secrets. A leather-bound journal caught his attention among the piles of weathered charts and rusting navigational tools. The faded inscription on its cover read, "Log of the Providence, Thomas Ainsworth, Master." Arthur's pulse quickened. The Providence, a merchant brig, had set sail in 1863 and mysteriously vanished in the vast expanse of the South Pacific. Whispers of mutinies and tales of sea monsters had surrounded its disappearance. Could this journal finally shed light on its enigmatic fate? As he turned the brittle pages, anticipation ran down his spine. Thomas Ainsworth's penmanship was neat, his words a testament to a bygone era of maritime exploration. The log entries chronicled routine voyages, detailing trade winds and weather patterns. When Arthur reached the date of June 15, 1865, his blood ran cold. The waters around the Samoan Islands were notorious for abundant shark life. From agile reef sharks to massive tiger sharks, these predators were the undisputed rulers of these turquoise depths. However, sailors whispered tales of a creature far more terrifying, a shark of monstrous proportions, a behemoth said to breach the surface like a whale. Its presence was a dark omen, a harbinger of ill fortune. Locals named it Kaihoko, an ancient evil that slumbered for centuries in the ocean's abyss. That fateful day had started like any other, the air heavy with tropical humidity. First Mate Eli Weaver, a seasoned sailor with weathered skin and piercing blue eyes, had overseen the daily inspection of the rigging. Young cabin boy Silas Finch, agile as a monkey, had hurried up the mainmast, his laughter echoing across the deck. The Providence, laden with cargo bound for Valparaiso, plowed steadily through the swells, its sails taut with the wind. Unbeknownst to the crew, their tranquil voyage was about to be shattered by a terror from the depths. Suddenly, a tremor surged through the ship like an underwater leviathan collided with its hull. Sailors stumbled, the ship's bell clanging wildly amidst the chaos. On the port side, a shadow materialized beneath the surface, immense, dark, and impossibly fast. Before anyone could comprehend the danger, a considerable maw erupted from the waves, its colossal teeth tearing into the Providence's side. Screams pierced the air as splintered wood exploded and seawater flooded the lower deck. Panic surged through the crew like wildfire. Captain Ainsworth, his normally stoic face etched with terror, bellowed orders, trying to rally his men against the onslaught. The shark circled the crippled ship, sensing weakness, its massive form a ghostly blur beneath the turquoise water. Then it struck again. The bowsprit, weakened by the first impact, snapped like a twig as the creature surged upwards. Silas Finch, perched precariously near the top, screamed as he was catapulted into the frothing sea. A desperate cry went up from the men on deck. Silas was their shipmate, their friend, and now prey to the monstrous predator. A harpoon clenched in his fist, Eli Weaver rushed to the railing. Blazing with fury and despair, his eyes searched for his young charge. But the ocean had swallowed the boy whole, only a faint crimson stain marring the water's surface. Weaver's anguished roar echoed above the swirling chaos. The attack was relentless. The shark slammed into the ship repeatedly, seemingly driven by an insatiable hunger. Men were thrown like rag dolls, their bodies broken and mangled by the ferocious impacts. The deck ran slick with blood, the air thick with the metallic tang and the desperate cries of the wounded. Captain Ainsworth, his leg caught beneath a fallen spar, realized the hopelessness of their plight. He ordered the remaining men to abandon ship, their only chance of survival lying in the lifeboats hastily lowered into the water. But the shark would not be denied even as they scrambled to escape. One by one, sailors were plucked from the heaving sea. Some disappeared in a single sickening gulp. Others thrashed wildly in the water, their limbs ripped away in horrific displays of savagery. The ocean churned crimson, a testament to the bloodbath unfolding within its depths. Eli Weaver, refusing to abandon his captain, battled his way back to Ainsworth's side. But he was too late. As Weaver reached out to free his trapped captain, the monstrous shark breached one last time. Ainsworth was swallowed whole in a final, chilling act of violence. Eli, alone and adrift in the waterlogged lifeboat, watched the Providence list and sink, disappearing beneath the waves with the remains of his crewmates and the last shreds of his hope. Days, he turned into a torturous blur for Weaver. He drifted aimlessly, haunted by the image of the monstrous shark, its vacant black eyes, and the gaping maw that had consumed his world. His survival was a cruel twist of fate, a living reminder of the horrors he had witnessed. It would be a miracle to finally bring him to safe shores, his tale a testament to the unfathomable darkness that lurks beneath the sea's surface. Salvation came in the form of a kindly whaling ship bound for Hawaii. The crew, hardened men accustomed to the perils of the sea, were nonetheless shocked by Weaver's skeletal form and vacant stare. With gentle hands they hauled him aboard, tending to his wounds and providing the sustenance his ravaged body craved. He croaked out fragments of his harrowing tale, but his words bordered on the edge of sanity. A sailor's mad ramblings of a monstrous shark and a ship lost to the depths. Weeks turned into months as Weaver slowly healed. His physical recovery was grueling, and the scars on his body served as constant reminders of the horror he had endured. But it was the scars on his soul that festered the deepest. Nightmares brought visions of the gaping maw and his shipmates' screams echoing across the sea's desolate vastness. The crew of the whaler, though sympathetic, could never truly comprehend the darkness Weaver had witnessed. Finally, when the battered ship docked in Honolulu, Eli Weaver disembarked, a changed man. The once cheerful and robust sailor now walked with a slight limp, his weathered face etched with a permanent shadow. He had returned from the brink of death, but a part of him had been forever lost in the depths of the South Pacific. His tale, told and retold in hushed whispers in dockside taverns, became a haunting legend, a grim reminder that the ocean, for all its beauty, held terrors beyond human comprehension. On a sunny morning on Reunion Island, France, a group of enthusiastic volunteers gathered on the picturesque beach of St. Paul. Among them was Sophie Laurent, a spirited environmental science student from the University of La Réunion. The event was a community-led beach cleanup organized to combat the increasing problem of marine debris affecting the island's stunning coastlines. Sophie, with her long, sun-streaked hair tied back and a determined look in her eyes, was passionate about marine conservation. She had always felt a deep connection to the ocean and was eager to make a tangible difference. Clad in shorts and a t-shirt with sturdy gloves to protect her hands, she listened intently as the coordinator outlined the day's activities. Armed with bags and trash pickers, the volunteers spread out along the shore, their spirits high as they set their tasks. Draft to the water's edge, Sophie began collecting plastic bottles, discarded fishing nets, and other debris washed ashore. The gentle lap of the waves against her ankles and the occasional call of a seabird overhead made the work feel less like a chore and more like a labor of love. As the morning progressed, Sophie moved into the shallows to retrieve a tangle of plastic that seemed to be partially submerged. The clear waters of Reunion Island, usually so inviting, hid an unexpected danger that day. Without warning, a sharp pain erupted in Sophie's ankle, sending a jolt of fear through her. Startled, she stumbled backward, glancing down to see a small shark swimming away, its silhouette disappearing into the deeper water. Though not deep, the bite was bleeding profusely, marring the clear water around her with dark, spreading clouds. Sophie's heart raced as she called out for help, the shock of the attack setting in. The other volunteers, hearing her cries, rushed to her side, their expressions turning from concern to alarm at the sight of her injury. The beach cleanup ended abruptly as the volunteers rallied around Sophie. One of them, a trained first aider, quickly administered primary treatment, applying pressure to the wound to stem the bleeding. The coordinator, realizing the gravity of the situation, dialed the emergency services, urging them to hurry. As Sophie sat on the sand, surrounded by worried faces, the initial shock gave way to a throbbing pain in her ankle. The community's concern was palpable, their cleanup efforts forgotten in the face of the unfolding emergency. The pristine beach, moments ago a scene of collaborative effort and environmental stewardship, had become the backdrop for a stark reminder of the ocean's unpredictable nature. As the minutes ticked by, the serene beach of St. Paul on Reunion Island transformed into a hub of activity. The distant sound of sirens grew louder, signaling the approach of the emergency medical team. The volunteers formed a makeshift pathway to ease their access to Sophie, who sat quietly, trying to mask the pain with a brave smile. The medical team sprang into action upon arrival, their efficiency a comforting presence amidst the tense atmosphere. They assessed Sophie's injury with professional calm, cleaning the wound and ensuring no severe damage had been done. The bite, though frightening, was fortunately superficial, requiring only stitches and not surgery. The beach cleanup coordinator gathered the volunteers as Sophie was being tended to. The day's events had taken an unexpected turn, and it was clear that the cleanup would have to be postponed. The safety of the participants was paramount, and the shark encounter had raised concerns that needed to be addressed before they could continue their work. The incident sparked a flurry of discussions within the community. Local authorities and marine biologists from the University of La Réunion began investigating the shark's presence in such shallow waters, a rare occurrence that caught everyone off guard. The following community meetings focused on enhancing beach safety and balancing the need for environmental conservation with protecting those who volunteered their time. Sophie's story quickly spread, her bravery and commitment to the cause earning her admiration and respect. Interviews with local media highlighted volunteers' risks and the urgent need for action against marine pollution, indirectly contributing to such wildlife encounters. In the following weeks, Sophie's recovery symbolized the community's resilience. Her experience had not dampened her spirit but strengthened her resolve to advocate for the ocean's protection. She became more involved in educational programs, sharing her story to raise awareness about the importance of safe and responsible conservation efforts. The beach cleanup event was rescheduled with increased safety measures and a renewed sense of purpose. The volunteers returned, their numbers bolstered by Sophie's story, ready to continue their work with a deeper understanding of the ocean's complexities. The incident at St. Paul Beach, while alarming, had brought the community closer together, fostering a collective determination to protect their cherished coastal environment. Once a volunteer, Sophie had become a beacon of inspiration, her encounter with the shark a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between human activity and the natural world. As the story concludes, the beaches of Reunion Island remain a place of breathtaking beauty and vibrant life, a testament to the resilience of its people and its marine inhabitants. The community's commitment to conservation, strengthened by their challenges, ensures that the island's shores remain a haven for all who cherish the ocean and its wonders. The vibrant city of Cancun, Mexico, known for its crystal-clear waters and thrilling water sports, Ethan Turner, a young and adventurous tourist from Canada, was excited to try parasailing for the first time. The warm, sunny day with a clear blue sky provided the perfect conditions for an unforgettable experience over the Caribbean Sea. Ethan, with his characteristic enthusiasm, listened intently to the safety briefing from the parasailing instructor Carlos. Carlos, a seasoned expert with years of experience, explained the do's and don'ts, ensuring Ethan felt comfortable and secure with the harness and equipment. With a reassuring pat on the back, Carlos signaled the boat captain to start the engine, and soon Ethan was soaring into the air, his parasail billowing brightly against the backdrop of the sun. From his aerial vantage point, Ethan was mesmerized by the panoramic views of Cancun's coastline, the white sandy beaches blending seamlessly into the turquoise waters. The thrill of floating high above, with the wind in his face and the gentle tug of the parasail, was exhilarating. Below him, the water was a tapestry of blues and greens, teeming with life. As Ethan enjoyed his flight, the boat maneuvered through the water, guided by Carlos's experienced hands. The laughter and cheers from other tourists on the boat reached Ethan, adding to the moment's joy. Everything was perfect, an adventure Ethan had dreamed of, a story he couldn't wait to share. However, as the boat took a wide turn, an unexpected gust of wind caught Ethan's parasail, causing a sudden jolt in the line. Ethan's heart raced as he felt himself dropping closer to the water's surface. Carlos and the boat captain worked quickly to stabilize the situation, but before they could regain control, Ethan found himself skimming the water. The touch of the cool water was initially a thrill, an unexpected part of the adventure, until a shadow beneath the surface caught Ethan's eye. A giant shark, attracted by the commotion and the unusual presence in its territory, approached with a speed and precision that belied its size. Panic set in as Ethan realized the danger he was in. The serene beauty of the Caribbean Sea had turned into a suspense scene. Carlos shouted instructions from the boat, trying to reassure Ethan and guide him on what to do. But the fear and the wind made it hard to hear. As the shark drew closer, Ethan's mind raced for solutions. He tried to lift his legs to make himself less accessible, but the dip and sway of the parasail made it difficult to control his movements. The boat crew, realizing the gravity of the situation, frantically worked to reel Ethan in, but the process was slow and every second felt like an eternity. The tension in the air was palpable as Carlos and the boat crew worked with desperate urgency, their efforts focused on pulling Ethan back to safety. The winch whirred loudly, slowly retracting the line, but the shark, a dark silhouette against the sunlit water, continued its ominous circling, its dorsal fin cutting through the surface like a blade. Suspended between sky and sea, Ethan felt a surge of fear, unlike anything he'd ever experienced. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the ticking of an unseen clock. Below, the shark's movements became more deliberate, as if it was biding its time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. On the boat, the atmosphere was frantic. Carlos shouted encouragement, trying to keep Ethan calm, while the captain pushed the engine to its limit, attempting to create distance between Ethan and the shark. The other tourists, once excited spectators, now watched in stunned silence, their cheers replaced by hushed prayers. As the winch continued its slow work, Ethan dipped closer to the water with each sway of the parasail. The cool spray of the sea brushed against his skin, starkly contrasting the heat of his fear. He knew he had to keep his legs up to make himself as small a target as possible, but fatigue was setting in, making every movement a struggle. Sensing the vulnerability above, the shark made a sudden, swift approach, its sleek body cutting through the water with terrifying speed. Seeing the shark's advance, Ethan braced himself, his mind racing with images of what might come next. But fate intervened in those critical seconds. Just as the shark neared, a wave, more significant than the rest, rose, momentarily blocking its path and disrupting its trajectory. The unexpected barrier gave the boat crew the precious time they needed. With a final Herculean effort, they managed to hoist Ethan out of the shark's reach, pulling him back towards the boat at a pace that defied their earlier struggles. Ethan's relief was overwhelming as he felt himself rising away from the water. His breaths came in ragged gasps, a mixture of fear and gratitude filling his chest as he was finally brought aboard. The crew and his fellow tourists erupted into spontaneous applause, their relief as palpable as his own. Back on the boat with solid ground beneath his feet, Ethan collapsed into the arms of Carlos, who clapped him on the back with a mixture of relief and caution. The captain steered them back to shore, the boat cutting through the water with a newfound urgency, eager to leave the site of the near disaster behind. The incident became the talk of Cancun, a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of adventure sports and the ever-present dangers that lurked beneath the waves. Ethan's story, with its dramatic arc from exhilaration to terror and back to safety, was shared far and wide, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the quick thinking of those who had come to his rescue. As Ethan reflected on his experience, the adrenaline of the moment gave way to a deeper appreciation for life's fragility and the unexpected challenges it presented. His brush with danger in the tropical waters of Cancun would stay with him forever, a narrative of survival that he would carry into every future adventure. A reminder that the line between thrill and threat was as thin as the parasail that had taken him into the sky. In the chilly waters of Gansby, South Africa, known as the Great White Shark Capital of the World, Dr. Anna Richardson prepared for a day that would mark a significant milestone in her career as a marine biologist. Her focus was on the intricate behavior patterns of great white sharks, and today's dive was to observe them up close to the safety of a shark cage. With keen eyes and a spirit undeterred by the dangers of the deep, Anna had spent years studying these majestic predators. Her work aimed to debunk myths surrounding sharks and to promote their conservation. The dive operation she joined was renowned for its commitment to safety and respect for marine life, making it the perfect partner for her research. As the boat reached the dive site, the crew began their preparations, lowering the sturdy cage into the water. Clad in her wetsuit and equipped with underwater cameras and sensors, Anna reviewed her checklist one last time. Her heart raced with anticipation from the prospect of coming face-to-face with the sharks and the opportunity to contribute valuable insights to marine science. The crew briefed her on the safety protocols, emphasizing the strength and reliability of the cage. The cage bars were made from high-grade steel, designed to withstand a great white shark's powerful jaws and brute strength. Anna nodded, her confidence bolstered by the crew's professionalism and the robustness of the cage. As the cage was secured, Anna descended into the water, the cold ocean enveloping her. Below, the underwater world was a murky expanse, visibility limited but sufficient for her purposes. She could make out the shadows of the marine life that called these waters home, and her anticipation grew. The first few minutes were calm, the only sounds being her breathing and the distant hum of the boat's engine. Anna's eyes adjusted to the dim light, and she began to observe the smaller fish that darted curiously around the cage. Suddenly, a shadow loomed in the distance, its size and shape unmistakable. A great white shark, its mottled gray skin, approached with a grace that belied its fearsome reputation. Anna's breath caught in her throat as she reached for her camera, her hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The shark circled the cage, its eyes seemingly fixated on Anna. She remained still, capturing every detail, from the gills pulsing with each movement to the scars that adorned its skin, each a silent testament to its life in the ocean's depths. As she focused on her work, another shadow appeared, larger and more menacing than the first. This shark, drawn by the commotion or perhaps by curiosity, moved with a purpose that sent a chill down Anna's spine. As the second great white shark approached, its size became more apparent, dwarfing the first shark that had initially captured Anna's attention. Its movements were deliberate, each flick of its tail propelling it closer to the cage with an unsettling focus. Anna's heart raced, her previous excitement tinged with a hint of apprehension. She steadied her camera, determined to document every moment, even as the situation grew tense. The shark circled the cage, its massive body casting shadows that danced across the steel bars in Anna's face. It seemed to be studying her, its dark eyes peering into the cage with a curious intelligence. Anna, a seasoned marine biologist, knew that sharks were often more curious than aggressive, but the proximity of this apex predator tested her resolve. The shark accelerated without warning. Its powerful body slammed against the cage. The impact was jarring, sending a shockwave through the structure. Anna stumbled but kept her footing, her hands gripping the bars tightly. The cage groaned under the strain, the sound of metal bending a stark reminder of the power these creatures possessed. The crew above, alerted by the commotion, sprang into action. Shouts echoed down to Anna, their urgent tones muffled by the water. The winch whirred to life, slowly raising the cage, but the undeterred shark struck again. This time, one of the bars bent inward, creating a gap that sent a surge of panic through Anna's veins. She pressed herself against the far side of the cage, her mind racing for solutions. The shark's aggressive behavior was unlike anything she had encountered in her research. It was a stark reminder of the unpredictability of the natural world, even for those who devoted their lives to understanding it. As the cage continued its ascent, Anna's fear was replaced by adrenaline. She realized that her experience, terrifying as it was, offered invaluable insight into shark behavior. Her camera, still in her hands, captured every second, the footage a testament to the raw power of nature. With mere inches to spare, the cage broke the surface, the crew pulling Anna to the boat's safety. Her relief was palpable, her breathing heavy as she recounted the encounter. The crew listened in awe, their expressions a mix of relief and disbelief. Back on shore, Anna's story spread quickly, her footage captivating everyone from fellow scientists to casual observers. It sparked discussions about shark conservation, the ethics of cage diving, and the need to respect the boundaries between humans and wildlife. Anna's encounter became a pivotal moment in her career. It reinforced her commitment to marine conservation, her respect for the creatures she studied deepening in a way she had never anticipated. While harrowing, the attack underscored the importance of coexisting with nature, acknowledging its beauty and dangers. As she shared her experience with the world, Anna's respect for the great whites of Gansbai and all marine life became a central theme in her work. Her story was a powerful reminder of the ocean's mysteries, the need for continued research, and the importance of protecting these magnificent creatures and their habitat for future generations. Lucas Bennett embarked on a night diving adventure in the warm tropical waters off the coast of Hawaii, USA. It was the summer of 2023, and Lucas, a university student majoring in marine biology, was on a research trip. His objective was to study the nocturnal behavior of marine life around the coral reefs, a task that filled him with both excitement and a hint of apprehension. Lucas had always been fascinated by the ocean, its vast mysteries and colorful inhabitants captivating his imagination since he was a child. This dive was not just another academic endeavor but a personal challenge, a step closer to understanding the depths that had always been called to him. Equipped with his diving gear and a waterproof flashlight, Lucas slipped into the calm, moonlit sea from the small boat he had rented. His friend and fellow researcher, Zoe Carter, stayed on board, monitoring his progress and ready to assist if needed. The plan was simple. Lucas would explore the reef close to their anchored position, documenting his findings with a waterproof camera. As Lucas descended into the underwater world, the vibrant colors of the coral reef came alive under the beam of his flashlight. Fish of various shapes and sizes darted in and out of the coral, their scales reflecting the light in mesmerizing patterns. Lucas felt a surge of awe and respect for the delicate ecosystem surrounding him. He moved carefully, mindful of his every breath and the gentle sway of the water. His heart raced with excitement as he spotted a rare species of octopus, its tentacles gracefully moving along the seafloor. Capturing this moment with his camera, Lucas knew this dive would provide invaluable data for his research. However, the tranquility of the dive took a sudden, terrifying turn. A swift and silent shadow emerged from the depths, catching Lucas off guard. It was a shark, its sleek form cutting through the water with incredible speed. Lucas's initial fascination quickly turned to fear as the shark circled closer, its eyes reflecting a primal hunger. Watching from the boat, Zoe grew concerned as Lucas's light flickered erratically. She called out to him through their communication device, her voice laced with urgency. Lucas responded, his voice trembling, informing her of the shark's presence. The situation escalated rapidly. Lucas attempted to remain calm, recalling his training on how to deal with shark encounters. He knew sudden movements could provoke an attack, so he tried to keep still, his flashlight aimed at the shark, hoping to deter it with the light. Back on the boat, Zoe realized the gravity of the situation. She knew she had to act fast. She quickly radioed for help, providing their coordinates and explaining the emergency. Meanwhile, she prepared the rescue equipment, her mind racing with worry for her friend below. As Lucas floated in the water, the shark's movements became more aggressive, its sleek body brushing against him in a terrifying dance of predator and prey. Lucas's heart pounded in his chest, his breaths quick and shallow. He knew he was in a fight for his life, the dark waters around him suddenly feeling like a vast, inescapable prison. As the tension beneath the Hawaiian night sky escalated, Lucas Bennett found himself in a dire struggle for survival. Undeterred by his attempts to keep calm and still, the shark launched a sudden, aggressive attack. In a flash of movement, Lucas felt a sharp pain in his leg, a stark reminder of his real danger in the depths. The injury, though not life-threatening, was severe enough to hamper his ability to swim and increase the urgency of the situation manifold. Above the surface, Zoe Carter was in a state of near panic. The distress call she had sent out was a beacon of hope, but her friend's chances seemed to dim with each passing second. She paced the small boat's deck, straining her eyes in the darkness for any sign of Lucas or the rescue team. The only sounds were the gentle lap of the waves against the hull and her ragged breaths. Back underwater, Lucas knew he had to make a decision. With his leg injured and the shark still nearby, waiting passively was no longer an option. Using his remaining strength and trying to ignore the throbbing pain, he began a slow, deliberate ascent to the surface. Each movement was calculated to avoid attracting further attention from the shark, but the ascent felt agonizingly slow. Meanwhile, the rescue team, alerted by Zoe's call, was on its way. The local Coast Guard, experienced in handling such emergencies, navigated their vessel through the night waters with practiced ease. Their boat was equipped with powerful searchlights, cutting through the darkness in search of Lucas and Zoe. Zoe's relief was palpable when the searchlight beam finally swept over their boat. She waved frantically, guiding the rescue team to their location. The team worked quickly, deploying divers into the water to assist Lucas and keep the shark at bay. Lucas, now just below the surface, could see the lights from the rescue boat and felt a surge of hope. The divers reached him swiftly, assessed his condition, and provided immediate first aid for his injury. With their support, Lucas was carefully lifted onto a stretcher and brought aboard the rescue boat. The return to shore was a blur of activity. Lucas, lying on the deck, his leg bandaged, felt relief and disbelief. Zoe stayed by his side, her presence comforting in the chaos. The Coast Guard provided them with blankets and warm drinks, trying to ease the shock of their ordeal. Once on land, Lucas was taken to a local hospital for treatment. His injury, while painful, was not as severe as initially feared. He would recover, but the experience had left an indelible mark on him. The attack, the fear, and the rescue would remain vivid memories, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of the sea. As Lucas recuperated, he often found himself gazing out at the ocean, its vastness holding a new meaning. The experience had not dampened his love for marine biology, but it had taught him a profound respect for the power and unpredictability of the natural world. The Hawaiian night dive was a chapter in his life he would never forget, a story of survival under the stars. In the summer of 2015, the coastal town of Waverly Beach, known for its pristine shores and fierce waves, became the backdrop for an event that would shake its community to the core. Among the surfers who frequented these waters was Maya Thompson, a name synonymous with talent and fearlessness in the local surfing scene. Maya's life, however, was about to take a dramatic turn. The day started like any other, with the sun casting its golden hues over the horizon, promising perfect conditions for surfing. Maya, always eager to catch the early waves, paddled out into the sea, her heart pounding in rhythm with the waves. But this morning's surf would not be like the others. As she waited for the next set, a shadow lurked beneath, unnoticed by the surfers above. In a split second, Maya's world turned from one of exhilaration to horror as a shark, mistaken in its pursuit for food, attacked. In the sudden and terrifying moment of chaos, the shark's jaws clamped down on her left leg, its teeth cutting through neoprene and flesh with devastating precision. The attack was swift, leaving Maya in shock, her screams piercing the morning calm as fellow surfers rushed to her aid. The water around her turned a haunting shade of red as she fought to stay conscious, her survival instincts kicking in. The surfers, working with frantic urgency, managed to pull her onto a board, paddling back to shore as fast as humanly possible. On the beach, bystanders had already called for help, and an ambulance was on its way. The surf community's quick response was a testament to their solidarity and training for such rare but feared incidents. As they reached the shore, first responders sprang into action, applying tourniquets and administering first aid to stabilize Maya's condition. The beach, once a place of joy and laughter, had turned into a makeshift emergency response zone. Maya was rushed to the nearest hospital with lights flashing and sirens blaring, her life hanging in the balance. The medical team worked tirelessly, performing surgeries to save her leg and address the extensive damage inflicted by the shark. Maya's road to recovery would be long and fraught with challenges. Still, the immediate and courageous response of her fellow surfers and the quick actions of the medical team ensured she survived the attack, setting her on a path toward eventual redemption. The incident left Maya with grievous injuries, both physical and emotional. Her left leg bore the brunt of the attack, saved by the quick actions of her fellow surfers, but forever scarred. The news of Maya Thompson's attack spread through Waverly Beach like wildfire, casting a shadow over the community known for its love of the ocean. Months of recovery followed, with Maya's spirit as battered as her body. The once indomitable surfer faced her darkest moments, plagued by nightmares and the fear that she would never again stand on a board. But amidst the despair, a flicker of determination began to ignite within her. Maya refused to let the attack define her life. With the unwavering support of her family, particularly her brother Alex Thompson, and her close friend and fellow surfer Ellie Martinez, Maya began the arduous journey back to the water. Her rehabilitation was not just physical but mental, as she fought to overcome the trauma of the attack. Every small victory, from taking her first steps again to simply sitting by the shore, was a step towards reclaiming her life. Maya's story, however, was more than just a comeback. It became a campaign for awareness and change. She delved into advocacy, speaking at local schools and community centers about shark conservation and the importance of understanding these misunderstood creatures. Her message was clear. Sharks were not mindless killers, but an essential part of the ocean's ecosystem. 2 years after the attack, with Waverly Beach once again hosting its annual surfing competition, Maya made a decision that stunned and inspired her community. She would return to the very waters where her life had almost ended, not just to compete, but to conquer her fears and reclaim her identity as a surfer. The competition day arrived, and the beach buzzed with excitement and tension. Competitors and spectators alike knew of Maya's story, her presence infusing the event with a sense of gravity and inspiration. As Maya stood at the water's edge, her gaze fixed on the horizon, the memories of that day 2 years ago washed over her. But this time, she was not alone. Her family, friends, and an entire community stood behind her, their support as palpable as the ocean breeze. Maya's performance in the competition was nothing short of miraculous. Each wave she rode was a testament to her resilience, her grace and strength on the board, and a clear message to the world. She had not been defeated. Although she did not take home the trophy that day, Maya Thompson had achieved something far greater. She had transformed her most harrowing experience into a source of empowerment and hope, not just for herself, but for anyone who had ever faced their deepest fears. The surfer's redemption was not just about Maya's return to surfing, but her journey of advocacy, pushing for a deeper understanding and respect for the marine life that shared the surfer's beloved waters. Her story inspired a shift in the local surfing community, fostering a culture of safety and respect for the ocean and its inhabitants. As the sun set on Waverly Beach that day, the silhouettes of surfers dotted the horizon, a serene end to a day that marked a new chapter for Maya Thompson. Her redemption was complete, not because she had overcome the shark, but because she had embraced her scars, both seen and unseen, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more connected to the ocean than ever before. As the months rolled on after the competition, Maya Thompson found herself at a crossroads. The competition at Waverly Beach had marked her triumphant return to the water, but it was clear that her journey was far from over. The incident that had nearly taken her life had now given it a new direction. one that she could never have anticipated. Maya became increasingly involved in shark conservation efforts, using her story to highlight the importance of coexistence with the ocean's predators rather than fear. Her advocacy work caught the attention of marine biologists and conservation groups, who were eager to collaborate with someone who had a powerful personal story to tell. Maya began working with Dr. Lucas Bennett, a renowned marine biologist specializing in shark behavior. Together, they launched a series of educational programs aimed at surfers and beachgoers, teaching them how to minimize risks while respecting the marine environment. Maya's efforts also led to the introduction of new safety measures at Waverly Beach and surrounding areas, including better surveillance and response strategies for shark sightings. Her work was making waves, transforming her from a victim of a shark attack to a leading voice in marine conservation. However, Maya's journey was still fraught with challenges. Despite her public bravado, the scars left by the attack ran deep. She found solace in the ocean, the very place that had once been the scene of her trauma. Surfing became her therapy, each wave a step towards healing. Her relationship with the ocean had changed. It was now a place of reflection and connection rather than fear. Back at Waverly Beach, the annual surfing competition had become a platform for promoting shark awareness, with Maya often speaking at the event. It was here, 5 years after her attack, that Maya's journey came full circle. The competition was no longer just about surfing. It was a celebration of the ocean, its inhabitants, and the humans who dared to ride its waves. On the anniversary of her attack, Maya paddled out at sunrise, alone with her thoughts. The ocean was calm, its vastness a reminder of the small but significant place humans occupied within it. As she waited for a wave, Maya reflected on her journey, from the fear and pain of her attack to the purpose and passion that had defined her life since. She caught a wave, riding it with the grace and strength that had become her trademark. As she emerged from the water, the sun breaking through the clouds, Maya felt a sense of peace. She had not only found redemption in the waves, but had also helped forge a path for others to follow. Maya Thompson's legacy was not just her comeback as a surfer, but her role in bridging the gap between humans and the marine world. Her story, marked by courage, resilience, and advocacy, continued to inspire, a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome, understand, and protect. As the sun set on Waverly Beach, the community gathered to celebrate not just Maya, but the shared commitment to coexisting with the ocean and its creatures. The surfer's redemption had become more than a tale of overcoming adversity. It was a movement, a shift in how people viewed their place in the natural world. And at the heart of it all was Maya Thompson, a surfer who had turned her darkest moment into a beacon of light for the future. May 15, 2001 marked a day that would forever change the life of Finn Harlow, a young surfer with an insatiable thirst for adventure and a love for the solitary waves of Australia's hidden gem, Driftwood Beach. Located off the beaten path along the northern shores of New South Wales, Driftwood Beach was a secret known only to a select few, where Australia's wild beauty was preserved and revered. Its isolation made it the perfect escape for those like Finn, who sought the purity of surfing without the crowds. Finn's morning began before the sun kissed the horizon, his alarm clock unnecessary as his internal clock was finely tuned to the ocean's schedule. He loaded his old van with the essentials, his surfboard, a worn-out wetsuit, and the eagerness of a soul destined to chase the waves. The drive to Driftwood Beach was a ritual, the winding roads a prelude to the awaited serenity. Upon arrival, the beach greeted him with its usual quiet splendor, the sounds of the waves a soothing welcome. The beach's name, Driftwood Beach, came from the countless pieces of wood that journeyed from distant forests to rest upon its shores. Each piece was a story, and a journey ended. Like many before, Finn was the lone figure against the vast open sea this morning, a testament to his dedication and passion for surfing. The local fauna, a mix of curious dolphins and the occasional sea turtle, were the usual spectators to his morning ritual. Sharks, too, were part of Driftwood's natural tapestry, apex predators that commanded respect and caution. Finn, well versed in the behaviors of these majestic creatures, surfed with a mindfulness that acknowledged their presence without fear. He understood the ocean was their domain, and he was but a visitor, granted access through mutual respect born of understanding and admiration. As Finn suited up and made his way to the water's edge, the first light of dawn cast a golden hue over the sea, the waves whispering invitations to dance. Paddling out, he felt the familiar rush of anticipation, the cool water enveloping him, erasing any remnants of sleep or lingering dreams. Today, the ocean was generous, offering wave after wave, each ride a blend of adrenaline and bliss, a perfect harmony between surfer and sea. But as the morning wore on, a subtle shift occurred. The wind changed direction, bringing with it a chill that hinted at the unseen forces at play within the depths of Driftwood Beach. Finn, attuned to the moods of the ocean, sensed the change. The waves grew erratic, their patterns a puzzle that beckoned understanding. Finn embraced the challenge, undeterred, adapting his style to match the ocean's new rhythm. It was a dance of respect, a give and take that only those who knew the sea could navigate. His last ride before the incident was a testament to his skill and connection to the water, a perfect ride that ended with him back at the shore, exhilarated and unknowingly on the precipice of a life-changing encounter. As Finn sat on his board, catching his breath and watching the horizon, he reflected on the morning's journey. The solitude of Driftwood Beach, the exhilarating challenge of its waves, and the presence of its wildlife combined to create a moment of pure contentment, a reminder of why he was drawn to this remote corner of the world. Yet as the ocean's mood shifted further, heralding the approach of something unseen, Finn remained in the water, unaware that his love for the surf would be tested in a way he had never imagined. The tranquility of the morning was shattered in an instant. As Finn Harlow sat on his board, legs dangling in the cool water, a shadow loomed beneath him, swift and silent. Before he could react, the water erupted into chaos. The shark, a massive creature of muscle and instinct, struck with terrifying precision. Its target was clear, the unsuspecting surfer who had ventured into its path. Finn Harlow found himself in a fight for his life. The shark hit hard and fast, its body a shadow that became a terror in seconds. Finn, thrown into a sudden battle, relied on instinct. He punched, aiming for the shark's sensitive nose, and kicked, trying to make himself less of an easy target. The water around him churned with the struggle, a mix of fear, determination, and the will to survive. The shark, deterred by Finn's defense, circled back, eyeing him coldly. Realizing his punches were only a temporary fix, Finn made a split-second decision. He climbed back onto his board, paddling with all his strength, heading for the shore as fast as he could. The shore was his safety, the distance between him and the shark a rapidly closing gap. Finn's hopes lifted as he neared the beach when he saw figures moving along the shore. The locals, who had spotted the unusual commotion in the water, rushed towards the sea, ready to help. Among them were Jack, a seasoned fisherman, and Mia, a lifeguard off duty but never off guard. They grabbed spare surfboards, paddling out to meet Finn halfway, their actions swift and coordinated. The shark, perhaps sensing the increased opposition, hesitated. This moment of uncertainty allowed Finn and his unexpected rescuers to return to the beach, where more hands helped drag him out of the water and onto the sand. Finn's leg was severely injured, the marks of the shark's teeth deep and bleeding. Jack used his shirt to stem the bleeding, applying pressure with a steadiness that belied his racing heart. With her first aid training, Mia took over, bandaging the wound with a makeshift tourniquet from their limited supplies. The beach, once a place of solitude for Finn, became a scene of collective action. With no hesitation, the locals used their phones to call for emergency services, knowing that every second counted. While waiting for help, they kept Finn awake and talking, their words a mix of encouragement and bravery. The ambulance arrived, tearing through the quiet of Driftwood Beach with an urgency that matched the situation. The ride to the hospital was a blur of lights and sounds, but Finn's thoughts were clear. Thanks to his quick thinking and the courage of a few locals who had rushed into danger without a second thought, he survived. His recovery was slow, marked by moments of frustration and triumph. The beach no longer felt like just a place to surf. It reminded him of the day he had faced his deepest fears and come out alive, supported by the unexpected bravery of those around him. Finn knew he would return to the ocean, but with a new respect for its power and a deep gratitude for the community that had stood by him. The experience had bound him to Driftwood Beach and its people in ways he had never imagined, a testament to the unpredictable journey of life and the strength found in unity. In the year 2005, the serene and lush tropical island of Corazon, delmare, a hidden gem nestled in the heart of the Caribbean, beckoned to travelers from around the globe with its promise of azure waters, golden sands, and an escape from the mundane. Among those lured by its charm were the Harper family, consisting of Thomas and Julia Harper and their 2 children, 16-year-old Emily and 12-year-old Max. The family sought not just a vacation but an experience that would bind them closer, away from the hectic pace of their lives in suburban America. Corazon del Mar, despite its popularity, has managed to preserve its natural beauty and the authenticity of its local culture. The island's history was rich, woven with a resilient community that thrived amidst the challenges of the sea. The Harpers were enchanted by the island's lore, eager to explore its coral reefs, lush rainforests, and the warmth of its people. Their days were filled with adventure and relaxation until one fateful morning when Julia decided to embrace the island's renowned marine life through snorkeling. The family chose a secluded cove, celebrated for its calm waters and vibrant coral reefs, a place deemed safe by locals and tourists alike. It was here in the crystal-clear waters that the vacation took a harrowing turn. Julia, with her innate love for the ocean, ventured a little further from the shore, entranced by the underwater spectacle. The rest of the family remained near the beach, building sand castles and soaking in the sun, unaware of the impending nightmare. Without warning, the tranquility of the moment was shattered. Julia felt a sudden sharp pain in her leg, pulling her attention away from the coral below. To her horror, she found herself face to face with a shark. Panic surged through her as she struggled to fend off the predator, her screams muffled by the water. On the shore, Thomas and the children were jolted by the commotion, their hearts racing as they spotted a thrashing in the water. Thomas's instincts kicked in, and he plunged into the water, racing towards Julia, fear and determination driving his every stroke. The next moments were a blur of adrenaline and fear. Thomas reached Julia, managing to scare off the shark with frantic movements and loud noises. He quickly assessed her injuries, noting the deep lacerations on her leg and the sight of blood clouding the water around them. With the help of a few brave souls who had witnessed the attack, Thomas and Julia made it back to shore, where emergency services called by an onlooker were already on their way. Julia's injury was severe but not life-threatening, a testament to the swift response of her family and the community. The local hospital staff worked diligently to care for her, their experience with marine injuries evident in their calm and efficient treatment. In the days that followed, the Harper family grappled with the shock and trauma of the attack. The community of Corazon del Mar rallied around them, offering support and stories of the sea that were both cautionary and comforting. The incident sparked a renewed respect in the Harpers for the ocean's might and its inhabitants, a reminder of the delicate balance between human activity and nature. Julia's recovery was slow but steady, her spirit undampened by the ordeal. The family's view of the ocean had changed irrevocably, but so had their understanding of resilience, both personal and communal. They spent the remainder of their vacation on the island, not venturing into the ocean but finding peace in the beauty of the land and the warmth of its people. As the Harpers prepared to leave Corazon del Mar, they did so with a mixture of emotions. The trauma of the shark attack lingered, but alongside it grew a sense of gratitude for the life they had and the bonds that had been strengthened through adversity. The ocean, once a source of leisure and wonder, now held a deeper significance, a reminder of nature's unpredictable power and the preciousness of every moment. On the golden sands of Whispering Palms Beach, nestled on the picturesque coast of California, the Miller family gathered under the warm embrace of the summer sun on July 17, 2010. It was a day marked for celebration, a family reunion that brought together the extended family from afar. The patriarch, David Miller, a devoted father and husband, was the heart of the festivities, his laughter and joy infectious, setting the tone for a day of memories and togetherness. Whispering Palms Beach, known for its scenic beauty and gentle waves, was also home to a diverse marine ecosystem. Among its inhabitants were sharks, creatures that inspired both awe and caution. Local conservation efforts ensured a balanced coexistence, educating visitors on respecting wildlife while enjoying the beach's natural splendor. David, along with his children Ethan, 10, and Lily, 8, had spent the morning building sandcastles and exploring the tide pools, their curiosity about the ocean's wonders encouraged by their father's love for nature. His wife, Sarah Miller, watched on, capturing these moments in photographs, the joy in their faces a testament to their bond. As the afternoon sun cast a golden glow over the beach, David and his children ventured into the surf, laughter echoing as they played in the waves. The family reunion, a rare gathering of aunts, uncles, and cousins, looked on, a tableau of happiness and familial warmth. The beach, a popular spot for locals and tourists alike, was bustling, the air filled with the sounds of summer. Lifeguards patrolled the shoreline, vigilant, as children darted in and out of the water, their shrieks of delight mingling with the ocean's roar. Ever the adventurer, David enticed Ethan and Lily into a game of chase, dodging waves and splashing in the shallows. Their pure and uninhibited laughter was a melody Sarah held close, a reminder of the simple joys that family brought. But nature, in all its beauty, harbors unpredictability. Beneath the surface of Whispering Palms Beach, marine life followed its ancient rhythms, unseen yet ever-present. Though rarely a threat in these waters, sharks moved with purpose, crossing paths with those who ventured into their domain. As the day waned, the unthinkable happened. A shadow beneath the waves, unnoticed amidst the joy and laughter, turned a day of celebration into a fight for survival. In a moment of terror, David found himself face to face with one of the ocean's most formidable predators. The shark, perhaps drawn by the commotion or mistaking him for prey, launched an attack that shattered the tranquility of Whispering Palms Beach. The Miller family's day of reunion was suddenly cast into chaos, a stark reminder of the ocean's power and the fragility of life. The serene beauty of Whispering Palms Beach was ruptured by a scream that pierced the air, a sound so jarring it seemed to stop time itself. Once scattered in joyful abandon, the Miller family converged in a united front of panic and fear at the water's edge. David, the beloved father and husband, was locked in a survival dance against the might of the ocean's predator. Sarah's heart plummeted into despair as she witnessed the shark's silhouette weaving through the water, its target unmistakably her husband. Ethan and Lily, their laughter silenced by the unfolding horror, clung to their mother, their small faces etched with confusion and fear. The lifeguards, trained for moments like these, yet always hoping never to face them, sprang into action with a practiced urgency. Their whistles sounded a cacophony of alarms as they directed the crowd back, clearing the way for rescue. In the chaos of the attack, as David Miller was suddenly thrust into a life-or-death struggle, the beach's festive atmosphere was shattered by a deafening silence, followed by a surge of panicked screams. The shark, a formidable predator of the deep, had mistaken David for its usual prey in the murky waters stirred by the day's activities. Its powerful jaws clamped down on his leg, pulling with a force that threatened to drag him under. David's instincts kicked in, a primal fight for survival as he struck at the shark. Each hit a plea for life. The water around him churned violently, a whirlpool of fear and determination as he fought to free himself from the shark's grip. His children, Ethan and Lily, watched in horror, their screams muffled by the pounding of their hearts as their father battled the beast. Witnessing the scene unfold, Sarah felt a rush of terror and adrenaline. She raced into the water, her only thought to reach David, to somehow pull him from the jaws of death. The lifeguards, trained for such emergencies, responded quickly, their rescue boards slicing through the water as they made their way to David. The shark, perhaps startled by the commotion or satisfied with its assault, released David and disappeared into the depths from which it came. The water, now a haunting reminder of the ordeal, was stained with David's blood, a stark contrast to the clear blue that had welcomed the family hours earlier. As the lifeguards reached David, pulling him onto a rescue board, his body was a map of the attack's ferocity. The leg wound was grievous, a testament to the shark's power, but it was David's will to survive that marked the moment. His eyes, though clouded with pain, burned with an unspoken resolve. The beach, once a place of joy and laughter for the Miller family, had become the scene of a stark reality of nature's unpredictability. In the aftermath of the attack, as David was rushed to the hospital, the Miller family stood united, their bonds strengthened in the face of adversity. The community rallied around them, offering support and prayers for David's recovery. The incident at Whispering Palms Beach was a grim lesson, a call to action for better safety measures and respect for the marine life that shared their home. The story of the Miller family's ordeal and David's brave fight for survival became a narrative of hope, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, The strength of family and the power of the human spirit can illuminate the path to healing and understanding. Off the coast of a remote island in the Pacific Ocean, an experienced deep-sea diver named Alexandra Turner embarked on a mission that would forever change her understanding of the ocean's mysteries. The target of her expedition was the Siren's Rest, a shipwreck lying silent and undisturbed at a depth few dared to explore. The wreck, a remnant of a bygone era, had been lost to the sea in the early 1970s. Its story and contents a mystery that beckoned to historians and adventurers alike. Alexandra, a seasoned diver with a passion for uncovering the secrets of the deep, was no stranger to the perils that awaited her in the abyss. Her preparations were meticulous, her gear checked and double-checked, for the ocean's depths forgave no mistake. As she descended into the cold, dark waters, her only companions were the beams of light from her submersible's lamps, piercing the eternal night of the deep sea. The descent was slow and methodical, a necessary precaution to avoid the dangers of deep-sea diving. Alexandra's mind raced with anticipation and a hint of apprehension, knowing that what lay ahead was uncharted territory, a place where few humans had ever ventured. The pressure outside her submersible increased with every meter she descended, a constant reminder of the sterile environment that surrounded her. As Alexandra approached the wreck, her excitement turned to awe. The Siren's Rest lay before her, a ghostly silhouette against the backdrop of the ocean's depths. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to human determination and curiosity. But her triumph was short-lived. Without warning, a shadow loomed over her submersible. It was massive, moving with a grace that belied its size. Alexandra's heart raced as she realized she was not alone. A creature from the depths, a species of deep-water shark unknown to science, had been drawn to her lights. It was a rare encounter, a meeting of two worlds that had remained separate for eons. The shark circled the submersible, its movements deliberate, its intentions unclear. Alexandra knew she was in a precarious situation. The shark was an apex predator in its realm, unchallenged and unafraid. She also knew that panic would only lead to disaster. Her survival depended on her ability to think clearly and act decisively. With the shark's attention firmly on her, Alexandra executed a plan. She turned off the submersible's external lights, hoping to use the darkness as a cloak. The strategy was risky, but it was her best chance. The darkness enveloped them, a blanket of uncertainty that could either be her salvation or her doom. Minutes passed, each second stretching into eternity. Alexandra's senses were on high alert, every sound amplified in the silence of the deep sea. Then, without warning, the shark struck. It was a calculated move, a test of the submersible's defenses. Alexandra felt the impact, a jolt that sent adrenaline coursing through her veins. But the submersible held, its design withstanding the force of the attack. Seizing the moment, Alexandra initiated the ascent, knowing that her window of opportunity was fleeting. The shark, sensing the escape, pursued, but its size was a disadvantage in the tight spaces of the underwater terrain. As Alexandra ascended, she could see the shark's silhouette fading into the darkness, a ghostly reminder of the encounter. Her heart still racing, she realized she had survived an ordeal few could imagine. The surface neared, and with it the promise of safety. Back on her research vessel, Alexandra's mind raced with the implications of her encounter. The shark, an aggressive species of deep-water predator previously unknown to science, was a discovery that challenged our understanding of deep-sea ecosystems. It sparked a flurry of scientific interest, with researchers eager to learn more about the creature and its environment. For Alexandra, the experience was transformative. She had faced the unknown, survived, and in doing so contributed to the body of knowledge that helps us understand our planet a little better. Her encounter with the shark became a testament to the courage and curiosity that drove explorers to venture into the unknown. As the news of her discovery spread, Alexandra reflected on her journey. The encounter with the shark, while harrowing, underscored the importance of respecting the mysteries of the deep sea. It was a reminder that, despite our advancements, nature still held secrets waiting to be uncovered. In the years that followed, Alexandra's story inspired a new generation of explorers eager to face the unknown depths of the ocean. Her encounter with the deep-water shark remained a defining moment in her life, a story of survival, discovery, and the unending quest for knowledge. It was not just a tale of adventure and survival. It was a narrative that intertwined the human spirit with the mysteries of the deep sea. Alexandra Turner's encounter with a previously unknown species of shark challenges our understanding of the ocean's depths and the creatures that inhabit them. It is a reminder of the vast, unexplored frontiers that lie beneath the waves, waiting for the brave and the curious to uncover their secrets. On the serene shores of Blue Haven Island, nestled along the coast of Australia, the morning sun casts a radiant glow over the turquoise waters, heralding a day of promise and adventure. It was the 14th of July, 2002, a day that Alex Thompson, a spirited teen with dreams as vast as the ocean, had eagerly anticipated. Accompanied by his family, Alex was set to explore the underwater marvels that had made Blue Haven a magnet for snorkelers from across the globe. Blue Haven, a jewel in Australia's crown, was celebrated for its stunning coral reefs and the diverse marine life it sustained. Among these were the sharks, creatures both feared and revered. The local fishermen, seasoned by years at sea, often recount tales of the great whites and hammerheads that roamed the depths, respecting these apex predators as masters of their domain. With his youthful curiosity and boundless enthusiasm, Alex was fascinated by these stories. He had spent the previous night poring over books and documentaries about marine life, his excitement barely contained. Alex's father, Michael Thompson, shared his son's passion for the ocean, having been a diver in his younger days. Alongside them were Alex's mother, Sarah, and his younger sister, Lily, both equally eager to witness the underwater spectacle. Their day began with laughter and light-hearted banter as they boarded the small boat that would take them to the prime snorkeling spots around the island. The local guide, a cheerful man named Jack Marley, regaled them with tales of his encounters with the sea's inhabitants, his voice a comforting blend of humor and experience. As they anchored near a coral reef teeming with life, the crystal-clear waters inviting them in, Alex donned his snorkel gear with reverence and anticipation. He glanced at his family, their faces alight with excitement, and plunged into the water, the cool embrace of the ocean welcoming him home. For a while, time stood still as Alex floated above the coral gardens, mesmerized by the kaleidoscope of colors and the dance of fish around him. He felt a profound connection to the world beneath the waves, a world so different from his own yet inexplicably familiar. Unknown to Alex and his family, their idyllic adventure was about to take a dramatic turn. Beneath the surface, unbeknownst to the snorkelers, the delicate balance of predator and prey played out each day, a reminder of the ocean's untamed nature. As Alex ventured further, drawn by the allure of the deep, the day's tranquility was shattered by a sudden terrifying encounter. A shadow loomed large, and in an instant the hunter and the hunted were face to face. In that heartbeat where time seemed to freeze, Alex Thompson stared into a predator's dark, unblinking eye, a primal and majestic creature that commanded fear and awe. The sleek and powerful great white shark, the undisputed sovereign of the depths, moved with a grace that belied its formidable strength. Alex felt a surge of panic as the shark circled closer, its intentions unclear. Every story he'd heard about shark encounters raced through his mind, each one scarier than the last. But amid the fear, a spark of fascination glimmered. Here in the shark's domain, he was an uninvited guest, witnessing the raw beauty of nature in its purest form. The shark, as if sensing Alex's fear, suddenly darted forward. In a split second, the world turned chaotic. The water around Alex churned violently as the shark's powerful jaws found his leg, pulling him with a force that seemed to drain the very breath from his lungs. Pain exploded through him, sharp and all-consuming, a bright burst of agony in the underwater twilight. Above the surface, Jack Marley and the Thompson family watched in horror as the water around where Alex had disappeared roiled ominously. Michael Thompson's heart clenched in terror for his son, while Sarah and Lily screamed for help, their voices carrying across the water. Jack sprang into action, his years of experience on the ocean guiding him as he commanded the boat closer to the attack site. Local fishermen, recognizing the signs of distress, converged on the scene, their ships cutting through the water urgently. In the water, Alex fought with every ounce of strength he possessed. The shark, perhaps surprised by its prey's resilience, released him. Clouds of red billowed around Alex, veiling the water in a curtain of crimson. His leg, though grievously injured, was still intact. Adrenaline coursed through him, dulling the pain and fueling his desperate swim toward the surface. Hands reached out, pulling him from the water's embrace and into the boat's safety. Jack and the fisherman worked together, their actions swift and efficient as they administered first aid, stemming the bleeding and wrapping Alex's leg in makeshift bandages. The return to shore was a blur of motion and emotion. Alex lay in the boat, his body racked with pain but alive, surrounded by his family's relieved and tearful embraces. Once a picture of tranquility, the beach was now a tableau of concern and activity as paramedics took over, rushing Alex to the nearest hospital. In the days that followed, the story of Alex Thompson's encounter with the shark and his dramatic rescue by local fishermen became a testament to the courage and community spirit of Blue Haven Island. The media descended upon the island, eager to recount the tale of survival and the indomitable will of a young man who faced one of the ocean's greatest predators and lived to tell the story. From his hospital bed, surrounded by his family, Alex grappled with the reality of his experience. The physical scars would heal, but the memory of that day would remain etched in his mind forever. Yet within him, something had shifted. Though terrifying, the encounter awakened a profound respect and fascination for the marine world and its inhabitants. He found himself more determined than ever to advocate for protecting sharks and the oceans, creatures not of malice but of beauty and mystery. As Alex shared his story, it resonated with people worldwide, sparking conversations about the importance of understanding and conserving marine life. His ordeal became a bridge, connecting humanity with the often misunderstood world beneath the waves. Blue Haven Island, too, was changed. The community came together, bolstered by the incident, to promote safety in the waters while fostering a deeper appreciation for the delicate balance of life in the ocean. Alex Thompson's journey from teen adventurer to survivor and advocate was a poignant reminder of the thin line between fear and awe and the unbreakable connection between humans and the natural world.